welcome to Techbytes with Technext. Here, we bring to you a brief roundup of everything exciting about the tech space across Africa and indeed the entire globe. From startup announcements to new inventions and the latest buzz on the social space. We will be sharing industry important highlights and exploring the news within the news. We will also be bringing industry experts to share opinions about major news for the week. And most importantly, watch out for our exciting future for this week. We are sure it will be an exciting session you won't want to miss. Let us begin. Hello, what's up, people? You're welcome to another exciting episode. I'm saying that because I think it's going to be exciting. Another episode of Tech Bytes with Technext. We're set actually to bring to you everything exciting from the tech space in Nigeria, Africa, and indeed the entire globe. So wherever it's happening in the tech space, we're going to let you know. And right here with me is David. Hello, David. How are you?
Yeah. What's up, people? I would say empty magbo, like.
What does that mean?
Yeah, I'm saying what's up, Africa in my language.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You even must have heard about me, famous David.
Exactly.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm very fine. Though the space has been exciting this week.
Oh, very.
But we are fine. I mean, the Flutterwave news and all. But
Again,
it's exciting to see
again.
It's
like these guys are always in the news. Last week it was Flutterwave. This week.
And the exciting thing about the conversation is everywhere. WhatsApp,
it's been trending
family
for
groups,
like this
groups.
Is the third day.
Yes.
Everywhere,
yes.
Facebook, everywhere.
Yes.
It's like
yes, everybody is concerned, but I'm trying to see the light at the end of the tunnel. What good is this going to turn out?
It's going to do a lot of good, actually, personally. But we'll get to that, right?
Yep.
Firstly, let us go around the tech world in 10 minutes. In this segment, we'll just give you the happenings in the tech world. Firstly, Nigerian American entrepreneur, currently founder Techbytes Awotona, is now one of 2 black tech billionaires in the US. This means that there are just 2 billionaires in the US that are black, and Techbytes is one of them. Recruit. Interesting. I love it. And what he invented was Calendly. It's a modern scheduling platform designed to reorganize calendars, scheduling appointments, meetings, events, and all that. And I read the Forbes article where he said he started it with his life savings of $200,000. That was all the money he had. So it could have gone bad, but thankfully it went great. And right now, as of this moment, Calendly has made $100 million. What? In revenue. I would say it went really, really great. Imagine starting something with 200,000 and then 100 million.
Yeah, that's Jesus. What the minister in Uganda would say. It went up.
Right.
To be honest, I think Techbytes and his friends at Calendly have done a lot of great work.
They have.
Presently, they have like 10 million users.
Wow.
And the company is worth $3 billion.
Wow.
In terms of valuation. This is one good story of an African that left Africa to the US and is doing tremendous exploit. The argument is out there that if he had run Calendly from Africa,
no way,
as big as it is here.
Firstly, people do not even make schedules like that in Africa. Firstly, remember we have the African time. So scheduling, your schedule will not be respected. You have a meeting for 4 and people will start coming in by 6.
Yeah.
So they'll be like, which one is Calendly? I beg. But over there, when they say 4, they mean 4. So it's I love it because it's taking normal things and using tech to make it just exponential. Imagine just Calendly. Helping people create schedules.
Exactly. So this is hope for Africans that are migrating abroad. Techbytes left Nigeria in 1996 after his father died in an accident. He studied computer science at the University of Georgia. So good news for all Nigerians, good news for Africans.
Indeed, indeed, it's great news. Well done to the guys at Calendly. We're rooting for you guys. So moving on next, MTN gets CBN's approval to operate a payment service bank. What does this even mean? It comes in line, the approval comes in line with the group's anticipation. They've been asking for it actually since 2018. And now finally, how many years later?
4.
David, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean?
Well, payment system approvals is like being a bank, right? Telco companies like MTN, Airtel are into telco business. They give you a platform to make calls and to browse. But now, because they have a lot of people using their platform, they want to go into other services. So instead of you just making calls with your recharge card, how about you using your phone to send money to your parents?
But we already do that.
But not exactly with your MTN SIM, for instance. You use your MTN to operate your
bank
GT
account.
But your MTN number, say your number is 0038000013. Someone can send 5,000 naira to that number.
Oh wait, so you mean my number can become a bank account?
Yes.
Are you serious?
That is what this is. So
that what this means?
Yeah. So
I love it.
So you could just transfer. I mean, when we were in school, then we know our parents would send us recharge card.
Right.
We go sell a 500 naira recharge card for 450. But now you can just send 500 naira to the owner of that number, and the person withdraws it from the nearest.
That's impressive.
Agent. That is what this is doing. And the capacity that MTN has, this can be a very massive introduction, because MTN in Nigeria has a significant number of users.
Oh, they do.
As we speak, MTN holds over 30% of the total number of telco users in Nigeria. The company has 74,933,000 subscribers in Nigeria.
What?
And that is a significant number.
It is.
It is a good news for Nigeria, because only about 64% of the adults in Nigeria are financially included. That number is significantly low to the population. I'm talking about adults, people that are really working.
Right.
But you have over 136 million Nigerians having telephone lines. So if automatically these people become bank account owners,
I guess this is a financial inclusion we've been looking
pure
for.
Financial
because a lot of people there are many places that there are no banks.
Yeah. Yes.
Right? Where do you even want them to register? But now that there is, just with your number, that's really great.
You're very correct. I mean, there are a lot of villages in Nigeria that there are no banks. Some places
the only thing they have is network.
Just network.
No bank, no nothing.
Just network.
But you see network, they have it.
Yes.
So it actually makes sense.
Yes.
It makes sense.
Yes. I mean, with the success MTN has recorded in Ghana with Momo, I'm sure this is going to be a big thing. If you know about M-Pesa in Kenya, more people use M-Pesa than they use Amtrava.
Well, so if it was you,
I would rather send money to my grandma with her phone number than ask her to go to a bank. There's not even a bank in my village. You have to go to the
Do you get exactly what I'm saying? So it makes things easier. And
absolutely.
Look at now that people are registering their SIM to their name. It's way easier. I don't have to go to the bank.
Track the transaction.
I don't have to be stressed. I don't have to deal with those people in the bank and their annoying excuses.
Don't even mention.
I don't even want to go there. So this is great news. I hope it works out. Like, it will make things so much easier. Moving on, 348 million Africans living in sub-Saharan region lack access to mobile internet. This is not news. I'm sorry, but this is not. I was telling someone the other, did you know that there are some major cities in Nigeria, like a state capital, they don't have 4G.
Oh, that's not news, actually.
Exactly. So when you're thinking that a state capital doesn't have 4G, Why would some people even have at all? Like a state capital that is actually busy.
Yeah.
They don't have 4G now. Where some people are already at 5G.
I've been to a town in Kogi State. The entire local government, the expanse of the entire local government is like 1/4 of Lagos. That's to tell you how big their local government is. They don't even have electricity.
My God.
Talk less of internet. But they could make calls, but no internet. So if you're going to places like that, just be sure you're not going to
browse,
no WhatsApp, nothing.
So you're cut off from the world.
Yes, the only way we could get network, I and my friends, was to climb a rock.
Oh my God, I'm not in for that.
I think it was H or E, something showing on our phone. Quite terrible.
Really?
Oftentimes when we want to talk about startup entrepreneurship in Africa, we
Yeah.
always say Nigeria has 200 million people, blah blah blah. But the question is, of these 200 million people,
how many
of them could actually use a tech platform? And the other crazy thing about this report is, in fact, women are more disadvantaged.
Well, tell me something I do not already know.
so we have the population of men is by 6% higher than that of women.
Of course.
Which is not really a good thing. If you say empower the woman, you have to empower the family. How could women get jobs online
if they don't
how could they run business successfully?
Do you understand?
They don't have access to
because
it.
everything now is on the internet. Everything. So imagine you want to run any business now and you don't even have internet access. What are you doing?
Quite sad.
It is sad.
Quite sad.
Something has to be done.
Yes.
All you startup people, look into this.
Yes. I'm looking for a Uber for broadband accessibility.
Yeah, something can be done about it.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's possible.
I agree with you on this one.
Wow. Okay, now this is news. Elon Musk will not be joining Twitter's board anymore. Have you heard the recent on this?
I don't know what to feel about this. Maybe I should be happy, maybe I should be sad. I was excited when I saw that maybe Twitter's board will be smoky now. The next board meeting, people have to come in with cigar,
yeah, right,
and all of that. And all of a sudden, the excitement was taken from us.
But there is a recent development as of today.
Wow.
When I saw this, I was like, okay, when he bought 9.2% shares, I was like, okay, cool. Then they asked him to be on the board and then he turned it down. I told somebody, I predicted that this man is going to try to buy Twitter.
Yes.
Have you heard?
The breaking news is he wants to buy the entire Twitter.
So I was right. Yeah. So they asked him, he said no, and now what?
So let me ask you, why do you think Elon Musk is after Twitter?
Because Twitter actually, quite surprisingly, has become the place to have conversations. Yes, it has become this micro blogging site where important conversations happen. It's amazing. I'm sure that wasn't what they had in mind, but somehow that is what Twitter has evolved to be. So if you're a thought leader and you're not on Twitter, you get everything that is trending, that is important, that is shaping conversations is taking place in Twitter, and that is a lot of power.
Yeah, because if you consider the fact that Twitter banned the president of the United States, and up to now, Trump has not gotten over that feeling.
He remains banned.
Yeah, he has not even the banning. He's feeling odd. Trump wants to create his own social media platform, and that thing has not taken off.
And to let you know
because
how effective Twitter is, how powerful. Do you know that after he was banned, I stopped hearing him? It was like his voice was cut off.
That's it.
I just stopped. I used to follow him, but now I don't know what Donald Trump is up to.
Just imagine that. I mean, come to Nigeria, Twitter was banned by the political class. They opened Twitter, and a few months later, all of them are declaring their presidential interest on Twitter. So
imagine
the
that.
Power is there.
It is.
And I think Elon Musk thought about the alternative. if he's using this same money to start a similar
Yeah,
Twitter,
why not just acquire?
will it even get that kind of
Of course
traction
not.
that Twitter
Of
has?
course
So
not.
the answer
Of
is
course
no.
not. It's just better to acquire. But the question is, do you think they will sell?
Well, he's offering $54.2 per share. If I'm a businessman, I would think about what is that going to work for me.
But everything isn't about money. What are his politics? What is it going to turn our beloved Twitter to? Because I think it has remained the same, or it has become what it now is because of the people who have been at the helm of affairs. They had a vision, they stuck to it. You know the thing with these rich people, they can be very political.
And
we still don't know what he has in mind.
And to be honest, Elon Musk is erratic.
Someone had to say it. I'm glad you did.
Yeah,
very. He is. So exactly. So imagine giving him such
power.
A. Oh,
I'm sure
keep saying
some of the major shareholders
would not exactly. It's going to be a fight.
For this
he cannot be trusted with something as volatile, something as important. You even see the way he tweets. Even in his tweets, he's like, dude, you need to chill. And they will now give him the host.
I agree.
Please, you people should not share. Jack, you know you're my friend somehow.
So the interesting thing is, since Elon Musk said since he announced buying 9.2% stake in Twitter share increased by about 27%.
Right.
Some employees said they were going to resign in protest, and some people are not really on the same.
It's already causing problems.
Yes.
And when he said he wasn't going to come on board, their shares did.
Now he's saying he wants to buy the entire Twitter. Like you said, that forecast that he was planning to buy Twitter.
I just saw it like, this is what, because there was a tweet of his I saw. He said something about having something like this. And not long after, I know how to put 2 and 2 together, or maybe I know how these rich people think. I'm like, this man wants to buy this thing. And not long after, he announces he bought 9 points. I'm like, okay,
he wants to buy the entire thing.
Exactly, he wants it. But I hope he doesn't get it.
Yep. We all hope. And now I've joined you on that hope.
Yes. But let's see how it plays out. I think it's going to be a nasty, but I hope it doesn't get nasty. Now he has 9.2, so that's a lot of shares. I don't know why they sold it to him.
And someone would always be willing to sell, because presently 1 unit of share in Twitter is $45. So he's offering you $54 for that same unit. Now imagine that you have 1 million units of shares.
But at 9.2, does he have controlling shares?
Not yet.
Oh, okay, fine.
Not yet.
Fine.
So if he's able to buy the controlling shares, that's it. So in essence, does not really need to buy from everybody.
He just needs enough.
Majority.
Right.
Yes.
Oof, I like things like this. Let's see how it plays out. So that's it on 10 minutes around the world.
Wow.
I think we took more than 10 minutes.
That's interesting.
I'm very sure of that. And right now we'll be moving on to our interview of the day.
Okay.
We have an interview. Do you want to tell us what we're going to be talking to?
Drum roll.
No drum roll.
We were talking about Flutterwave.
Right.
And the rest of us. Inside trading, harassment, and staff welfare. This is a very touchy topic. But rather than just talk about the sensation, we are going to be speaking with an expert.
Firstly, you read the investigative report.
I did. Like millions of men.
Before we bring in our guest, are you going to tell us what you thought? Because I was like, okay, like, what is this real?
Okay, so my thought is a bit more diversified than ordinary people, because this is our profession. So I looked at the journalistic import. I also looked at the essence of this for entrepreneurs and business owners in the space. Then I looked at the African tech ecosystem in total, and I realized that Flutterwave is very important.
It is.
For a lot of reasons. But this topic is also very important for a lot of reasons, because
Yeah.
if we can sanitize our system, then we can become better than we are.
Exactly.
So,
especially at this point.
exactly.
It is at this point that we need to put in structures to ensure that the ecosystem we're trying to build is safe and doesn't get polluted by some, very, very important. So please, who are we bringing in?
Yep. So we have with us here David Etido. He's a private equity associate at Udo Udoma and Bello Asagi, a legal firm. So Etido is a legal luminary, as we say. I can't call him my learning colleague because I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not learning. So we have him on the call. David has about 5 years of practice experience in intellectual property practice, corporate and commercial practice, commercial litigation, debt recovery, energy, oil and gas, immigration, banking and finance, and capital market. That is you.
Like you're going out like, are you not done? Like, that is a lot.
Yes, Etido, you're welcome to the podcast. Can you hear us?
Yeah, thank you very much, David. As you're speaking, I was beginning to wonder if it's me you're speaking about, or if there are other lawyers in the room.
Clearly, you are the only lawyer here. We are journalists.
So it's such a privilege to be.
Welcome to the show. We are so glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
So I'm sure you've read the investigative report by independent journalist David on Flutterwave. Just a reminder, the article is titled Flutterwave, the African unicorn built on quicksand. And this article has accused Nigeria's largest, in fact, Africa's largest tech unicorn, if I may say, was Nigeria's largest tech unicorn, Flutterwave, of allegations on inside trading, fraud, and perjury that has occurred for over 4 years. And this has led to a lot of conversation in this space. This is expected because we know that Flutterwave is weak, and whatever happens to Flutterwave, jolly well might be next.
Definitely.
And the person in the picture, Benga Bola Jimmy, is also a very notable investor in the startups and space. So it is a big fish, and we have to fry it carefully. Yep. So we're
But fry it, we must.
So Etido, yeah. So first, let's go to the questions. Can you help us define insider trading? Just in the layman's language, what is insider trading?
Okay, David. I before I go there, I just want to say that just like you gave a very proper introduction, Flutterwave means a lot to the Nigerian tech space, and I must say right now to the Nigerian economy, because a lot of good news that we've been receiving has really been from the tech economy in recent years. And then we have to balance between protecting our economy and also dealing with what ought to be dealt with before it turns into a hydra head problems that we can't tame. Because it's better that we have that ecosystem that continues to feed us and generations to come than for it to end while we're trying to protect maybe an institution or a few persons. So, but I would like to say that the views I'll be sharing here are really my personal views. And then as a lawyer, and I'm sure that happened to a lot of lawyers, reading through that article, we just had questions running through our minds. Is this legal? Is this right? So I'm not surprised that there are a lot of conversations happening around it, because there's a lot to unpack there. And I can't really say what David's intentions were, but for me, coming on here is I think it's good for. Yes, not your David. Yeah, I can't tell what his intentions were, but I know that as a journalist, we try to bring justice, try to bring salvage a bad situation, and also to restore order in the society. So I would like to speak from these angles, and not just trying to say, someone is wrong or someone is right. So if on that note, I can then go into definition of insider trading in very simple terms. So insider trading is really using confidential corporate information that is not available to the public for personal gain, and that could be to either make a profit or to avoid a loss. Again, just to further simplify it, and I'll just try to use scenarios here. So the chief accountant, chief accountant of a company is aware that FIRS has just slammed a 10 billion naira fine on that company. Automatically, if this fine comes to the public, the stock price of that company is going to fall. What does that chief accountant do? He sells off his shares in that company at that time that the share price is still has so much value in it, and then sells it off. Once he sells it off, the information comes to the public, he's safe from that loss he was going to make. Another angle could be that the financials of the company has come in. The MD and the management are privy to the fact that the finances of the company are in very good shape. Once these finances are released to the public, a lot of people want to buy the shares of the company. So that means this is a good time for them to acquire more shares and sell once people want to acquire those shares, once the information comes to public light. And they go ahead to buy those shares. So in those two scenarios I've mentioned, you've seen that they've used the information that is not privy to the public to position themselves for either for gain or to avoid a loss. So that's simply what insider trading is about. And it really has to do with trading in company shares.
Oh, okay. So based on this definition of yours, would you qualify what we saw in the report by the journalist as insider trading?
So, if I can remember quite well, the term insider trading was pretty much thrown around in a number of places in the report. First is the fact that as a staff of Access Bank, GB was able to position himself and Flutterwave to gain access to events, to gain access to people at various times for the benefit of Flutterwave. That, from my definition, will not qualify as insider trading because there was no issue of trading of shares in that instance. But there might be other legal issues surrounding that, but I'm not going to speak to that now because that's not the subject of insider trading. But then I think the instance that will rather give us a tough time to unpack would be when we saw an email from the company, either a message or an email from the company offering to buy the shares of an employee at a certain price, which was said to be lower than what that share went for at the Series C, far lower, I must admit, at the Series C funding round. So would that amount to insider trading? Again, if one looks at it from the angle that there was a Series C financing round that was coming, was the information available to the employees and to the public? I would think that the employees might have been aware, but I can't say. So there's a lot of uncertainty in terms of the information that might have led for that sale to happen. So until we have the full details of was there some private information, also company information that was within the knowledge of the persons who initiated the sale and purchase of that shares, and it wasn't available to the employees especially to that particular employer, it wasn't available to the public generally. And then one could say there was an insider trading scenario. But so until we have that full fact, I can't say. But on that particular case, what I'm more concerned about is can a company mandate an employee to sell a share that the company has vested in that employee? I mean, it shouldn't be so. From the tenure of that email, it didn't show as if there was a prior conversation by the employee offering to sell those shares. It seems as if it was an instruction. And that shouldn't be. I mean, if I own something, I should have the right to determine the price is going to be sold, and determine the time I want to sell it. And if you want to buy, you should simply say, oh, please, I want to buy, are
Right.
you willing to sell,
Mm-hmm.
and so on. And it's not really an
Right.
instruction. So
Mm-hmm.
those were my views with respect to that particular circumstance or that particular sale. But
I
does it
see.
amount to insider trading? I think we'll need to have a lot more information as to the public knowledge, or the knowledge of the public on the Series C round. Was even the share price at that time, was it even fixed? Did the company know what the share price is going to be? I mean, from that investigative report and from what we know, we can't say for certain. So it's difficult to
So,
make a call.
so, so you're saying you don't have enough information to make a call if that was insider trading or not.
Yes, that's my
Okay.
position.
Okay,
Okay.
that's interesting. So let's go to the next point in that conversation, which is on harassment. Some people, I mean, if you read through, David tried to define what harassment is, and the arguments of GB and the other person mentioned about if the actions actually, if it happened, if the actions that they were accused of were true, qualifies as harassment. So I would really want you to help us. First, can you help define what harassment in a workplace is? Um, yes. What is harassment in the workplace?
So as lawyers, we understand the fact that definitions such as these are jurisdictional. So we are Nigerians. Luckily, everyone here is everyone on. I mean, David and you guys are Nigerians. Guys are working in Nigeria. So harassment, for what harassment will mean in the Nigerian context, will be different. And this is basically not because the instances are not the same, but this is what has been defined in our laws or has been interpreted by our courts. So from our current legal jurisprudence, the laws that we have, the issue of harassment, especially in workplace, has not really been elaborated, and it's something that I think rising from here we should all advocate, that there should be clear definition of what harassment, sexual harassment amounts to in a in an office environment.
Yeah.
So you'll find out that in Nigeria, law talks elaborately about rape, talks elaborately about sexual harassment at home, domestic violence, but subtle harassment, which is what the investigative report was referring to, and which is what is common in workplace, is not really defined in our laws. But luckily, the National Industrial Court, which has always maintained a very forward-thinking position, has always come to our rescue, and it has come to our rescue again in one of its recent cases, trying to extend the frontiers of harassment to include harassment that occurs in the office. So anything from the pressures, making the exchange of sexual pleasure as part of the condition for employment, request for sexual favors as conditions for promotions. Sexual harassment could come in the form of words, very sexually abusive words being thrown about. And one thing the court says that there must be a consistent pattern, especially in those very subtle ones that you cannot really say. But if someone is sending you emails, and in those emails there are lewd comments that are lewd allusions to sexual objects or sexual innuendos, and it keeps happening, there is obviously a sexual harassment case that has been effected. So while the laws as we currently have it does not speak directly to sexual harassment in in the workplace, what we have now is enough for us to accommodate those abuses in this definition that I've just reeled out. But it has to be kind of consistent, it has to be clear. But the outright ones that you don't need to situate, I mean, if you are raped, if someone assaults you sexually, that doesn't need to come under sexual harassment in workplace. It's pure sexual harassment, and then one could be liable for criminally if found guilty. And this is also using this opportunity to encourage people to take advantage of the provisions of the law, report cases, reach out to institutions that could help you pursue these cases. Because I know most times people are afraid because some people are more powerful. I mean, in workplaces, people, the MDs are more powerful than the subordinate employees and so on. But you need to reach out to powerful institutions too to help you fight, to be your voice.
Okay. Wow. So before we ask a question, I just want this clarification. If I'm the superior person in the office and I'm having a sexual relationship with someone who is junior or lower than me in office, and I feel that the person is that the relationship is consensual, this person accepted that we should go out, but this junior person feels that if she had not agreed, maybe I will have penalized her or given her a query or even sacked her or something. Does it still qualify as sexual harassment?
So that's a very dicey one, and how our laws develop is when we are able to get judicial interpretations of some of these matters. But sitting down here today, with my knowledge of what the law says today, it will be difficult for you to situate a consensual relationship, despite the fact that one person is in a superior position and one is a subordinate to the other, as a sexual harassment, as if a sexual harassment scenario has occurred. Is very difficult. But then, just like David Hinde pushed for, there have been some researches. There are people that are studying psychology to actually establish the fact that there might be a form of sexual harassment in this kind of scenario. But until that has been given judicial interpretation by the Nigerian courts, and I'm speaking here with respect to the Nigerian scenario, in advanced economies like let's say in the US, you can find out that this has already been decided and they're able to take advantage of such position. But in Nigeria, until it's decided by our courts and given that explanation, or better still, we have a bill passed in the National Assembly or the State Houses of Assembly that now accommodates this definition, then we can have a case. But for now, there is nothing in our laws that can support such assertion.
Okay, good.
Interesting. Okay,
yes.
Now the question I would like to ask is, I really like to hear your view on it as a lawyer. Now, in a part of the investigative report, he mentioned that a law firm that was already contracted by one of a staff member, she already paid them, and then I don't know if they even refunded her money.
It was not stated.
It wasn't stated. But then the next thing, they were already
suggesting another law firm
and saying that they were now lawyers for the people they are supposed to be. Like, is that even legal? Is it legal for a legal representative
to switch sides,
right? To take on a case, drop it, and then switch over to the opposing party? Like, wow.
So the content of the email, and I'll have to be careful here. The content of that email, if you read it carefully, was a result of a conflict check. A conflict check is what law firms typically do. Once you are instructed by a client, you actually run a conflict check. For some people, that can come out immediately, but it's basically getting to go into your files, go into asking your partners in the law firm a question. So, have anyone worked for this client or worked for the opposing client? Is there anyone that has a current matter that they're handling for the opposing client? And then come back with that conflict check to say, okay, we've cleared conflict, we're able to work for you, or we've not cleared conflict and we are not able to work for you.
Well,
so that was a result of the conflict check. Isn't that
supposed to happen before they take on that client? Aren't you supposed to run a conflict check before you take on
that's supposed to happen.
Collect money?
Which is why I mentioned that sometimes it takes time, sometimes it comes out immediately. And then for when you are instructing a law firm or a lawyer to represent you in a litigation matter, while the conflict check is going on, a law firm can always give you their preliminary opinion. So the question really is, and the big elephant in the room is, there is no how one can say that he has the firm has Flutterwave in its retainer or is working for Flutterwave, that they wouldn't have known. So the question then becomes, at what point did Flutterwave become their client?
Exactly.
Yes. So from that email, it says we have recently briefed them on a corporate matter. So we can't say how recent, if it's 3 months recent, 2 months recent, or like 2 days after the case had been given. So that's just, but I mean, the question, it just leaves a very big question mark hanging there. If we can determine the time when Flutterwave came in, then I think we can conclusively answer that question. But from me, I'll just say that from that email, it seems like they were going through the due process, but it will only depend on if the Flutterwave came in before or after the fact.
Okay.
That was a very lawyer response. Thank you all for answering like a true lawyer.
That's a very learned response. Okay, so I mean, I think, Etido, you've answered the part of the question about GB working for 2 companies, Access and Flutter, at the same time. So
sorry if I should even point out again. So and make it very clear. The law does not allow you to be engaged or to accept a brief from a party and then you withdraw for no good reason. The law, so that we won't say this is what lawyers can do or do you have that power? No, you cannot, except for good reason. Good reasons will include when the client wants you to do something illegal, when the client is not paying your fees. So those are some of the reasons why you could say, okay, I have to withdraw. This is not working for me.
Is conflict of interest a good reason?
Yes, conflict of interest is also part of the reason that a lawyer can withdraw. Yes. So those are the good reasons that are allowed under the rules of professional conduct guiding lawyer-client relationship and generally the conduct of lawyers in Nigeria.
Okay.
So they can withdraw on grounds of conflict of interest, illegal purpose. I mean, the client asks you to do something illegal, non-payment of fees, and some other grounds.
Okay. So, is it ever wrong to work for 2 companies at the same time? How could working for 2 companies become a wrongdoing?
This is something that if I say is wrong today, I mean a lot of persons will have to shut down their side hustle. you know, there is a popular joke of is this someone who was treated by a doctor and then he ordered an Uber ride and then the doctor was the one that drove the Uber. so in Nigeria, almost everyone has two things, and good enough, you will notice that the companies even encourage. I know that people that have businesses, I've seen tremendous support in my firm where we have lawyers that establish some form of business, especially ones that are not in conflict with the business of the firm, establish NGOs, and my firm with Odo Mabelo Sage really supports them and help them to stand. I mean, so some people encourage it. But then to answer your question specifically, employment relationships are contractual. Well, there are some parts that might be subject to statutory limitations or restrictions, which is very minimal in Nigeria because we just have one labor law, which is the Labor Act, and it applies mostly to non-professional services like those your cleaners and the staff that are not really professional staff in the company. That's what the Labor Act applies to. So majority of our contractual terms, of our employment terms are contractual. So if your employer says you shouldn't, then once you go ahead to work with it somewhere else or to have a side hustle while still working in the employment of that firm, then you're obviously doing something wrong, and that will be a breach of your contract of employment. So some contracts of employment, you find non-circumvention provisions, you find non-compete, you just find that you work here full time, you do not take on any other employment. So if you have that in your contract of employment,
the part about declaration. So it's possible for you to declare to your employer that you have other interests that is not conflicting, right?
Yes, and it's possible for you at the point of employment to say, "Oh, I'm taking up employment with you, but I love drawing, so I will still be drawing from my personal clients. I hope you don't mind. And if they say, oh, we mind, you say, okay, I can't take your employment, but if you don't mind, then I can come in. So you can have that arrangement from the inception. Yeah.
Okay. So in the case of GB, we are not sure what this arrangement with Access Bank was.
That will be the position. So until you're able to see his contract of employment, or if someone here works in the bank, I mean, if David have you worked in the bank, he can tell us what's the typical nature of the contract. If it requires full time, yeah.
No, but in the case of GB, he was hiding from.
Yes, so
he was going to go for a meeting, and he didn't want them to know he was the one.
There was a screenshot where he was saying he had to change his voice so that it won't sound like somebody.
And then there was one that they found out, and they were like, "Is that not GB?"
Yes. So it means he was doing a similar business in which he had to choose to either represent Access or Flutter, and in many cases, the evidences show that he was not open to the people at Access that he was doing that. So I think that kind of takes out the question of
it's clearly wrongdoing, because if he wasn't, he wouldn't be hiding. He
wouldn't have been hiding. Don't you think so, Matilda?
So like I said, it's employment relationships are really contractual, and until you actually know the details of this employment contract. So if the employment contract did not allow him or at that point to actually explore any form of personal hostile second employment, then he will clearly be wrong. But if the employment contract was silent, I mean, what would you say? So if you are saying he was wrong doing this, what will you say he's breaching?
Right.
So it will be difficult for you to say, so because it's just silent. So if you have an employment contract that states everything, doesn't say don't do this. But then most companies, apart from the employment contract, might have a handbook, and the handbook now goes further down to give some of these instructions, these restrictions or limitations on what you can do, how you can relate with other people, and so on. So if the handbook of Access Bank had this, then that could be another level of security for the bank, and then he would have breached that. But at this point, we can't also say. But I mean, and this is also calling on employers and employees to also take a second look at such provisions in their contract of employment. I think is critical.
That's true. That's true, because like he has said, if it's not mentioned, then what would you accuse the person of? It's like
clearly
it's all up in the air.
Clearly. So
finally, David, what do you think are the next steps for Flutterwave and GB right now?
Yeah, it's do.
I think okay.
Yes.
Okay, I can continue. Okay. So I think Flutterwave as a company should be distinguished from GB, and Flutterwave should think of Africa tech space, think of Nigeria and the Nigerian economy in taking its decision going forward. If I should offer my personal unsolicited advice, I would say a proper investigation should be carried out into every single point that was raised in that investigative report, to ascertain the truth, to secure justice for people that have been wronged, to establish policies, parameters to avoid the reoccurrence or the continuance of any negative patterns. Issues of sexual harassment were mentioned, issues of insider, all those things that were mentioned. Let's find out. They should ask themselves the question: is this true? And if it's true, how can we stop it from happening again? So I think that should be the focus of Flutterwave right now. And then in doing that, I think they shouldn't try to protect individuals above institutions. Well, also not throw individuals. How you just want to throw away the baby and the bathwater. No, I think a proper investigation should be carried out and should be treated in line with strict corporate governance rules. And I mean, any decision they should take should be for the good of the ecosystem.
Right. Very important.
David Etido, must say thank you very much
Thank
for
you so much.
for sharing insight about this. To be honest, whatever else we'll say about this wouldn't have been as correct as you've placed it, because you're a legal luminary and you understand these parameters.
And he gave us a lot of very
yes,
loyally
professional standard answers.
Sound like a real lawyer.
Yeah. So Etido, thank you very much for
That's how you guys
honoring
keep
our
accusing us, but I mean, we're just trying
What do
to.
you guys?
No, but we are correct. We are correct. If you ask a journalist, we just take
Do you
our
get?
lawyers,
Do you get?
lawyers see things
Wow,
around the fact.
wow.
So
Yeah,
that's it.
So thank you so much for having this chat with us. We really do appreciate it, and we've learned so much. We have. Thank you very much for being our guest.
All right, thank you, too.
Thank you, Dave.
Yes,
All
yes.
right.
So Etido, thank you for coming. Guys, we've learned a lot on this show, but the
We
summary is things have happened. The people that have stakes in Flutterwave should set up a process to find out what happened. Etido said,
Like you said, an investigation.
once an investigation has been done, the next question is, how do we prevent this from happening again?
Right.
Put up processes, and I think the final thing would be, don't throw away the baby with the
Of
bathwater.
course
We should be
not.
able to separate the person from the institution.
And this
Right.
might not be a bad thing as they are thinking. This might be exactly what they need to structure themselves.
Yes.
Because if things like this are happening, it's because one person has so much power, and in any organization is not a good thing, right? So if something happens to the person, the organization suffers, which is why you see brands, they separate the CEO from
the
the organization so that
Yeah.
whatever he does, he can be taken away and the institution
Survive.
continues.
Yeah,
Yes.
we've had this
So-
issue at Uber, and Davis
Exactly.
Kalanick had to resign. I think that helps us, because there's a point where the startup stop being a startup and start
And it
becoming a
becomes-
standard company.
Exactly.
And you have to throw away all the startup ideas
Exactly.
for some set of
Exactly.
structure. So yeah, thank you for this time.
Oh, thank you. This episode, I did say it was going to be exciting, wasn't it?
It has.
So we delivered on our
Yeah,
promise.
yeah.
We do that here on Techbytes. So that's all for today. Until next time, it's Easter weekend.
Yep,
I hope you have plans for Easter.
a lot of plans.
Okay, just do have fun and enjoy the rest of your day. Until next time,
Yes, let me just remember to say, follow me on Twitter at @4reasons, same for Instagram. But most importantly, follow Technext on Twitter
Please follow
and Instagram
Technext.
at technext.ng. We'll be doing this every week. Watch out for our next episode and our guests that will be sharing exciting thoughts on the topic for the week.
all right. Until next time,
Bye
bye.
bye.
Bye.